Okay, we are in volume 9 of my set of 10 books, 70 years old books. Um, this is 9 of the Bible story by Arthur S Maxwell. Um, I think these were bought for my cousin Robert when he was little, and my mother-in-law, but they're no kids. I mean, I'm not kidding them. Uh, it's complicated. Okay, and we are at part 1, story 7, the king who stopped to cry. Interesting. What a procession it was. There had never been anything like it in all of history of the world. True, many kings had ridden in triumph, but never one without a soldier or a weapon or a flag. Many kings had gloried the prisoners in the prisoners that followed him, bound with chains, but this king rejoiced that all of his possessions were bound by bounds of love alone. Nobody here had been forced to serve or struck in anger. The followers of this conqueror had felt nothing but a gentle touch of his loving hand. Nobody had his eyes put out, or his back beaten with rods, or his feet crushed in the stocks. Instead, here were the blind to whom the king had given sight, the deaf to whom he had given hearing, a lame who the lame who he had made to walk, lepers who he had cleansed, and all and at least one of whom he had brought back from the grave. No wonder there was so much cheering. No wonder everybody was shouting, "Blessed be the King who comes in the name of the Lord." Then, to everybody's surprise, the procession stopped. Those who were ahead no doubt walked on one on some distance before discovering that Jesus wasn't with them anymore. Hurriedly turning back to see what had gone wrong, they found the great crowd of people gathered very close around the Savior. He indeed was a strange sight. Jesus had stopped his donkey at a high point in the road, for which Jerusalem could be clearly seen. He was looking at the city and seemed to be talking to it. Yes, and, of all things, he was crying. Tears were cruising down his cheeks. Whatever he had, whatever could be the matter? Who heard of a king crying for someone, uh, crying, crying when everyone was shouting his praise? Those nearest to Jesus pressed closer to catch his words. If thou hadst known, Jesus was saying, his lips quivering, even thou, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace, but now they are hid from mine eyes. For the days shall come upon thee that thine enemies shall cast a trench about thee, and and compress thee around, and keep thee in on every side, and shall lay thee even with the ground, and thy children within thee, and they shall not leave in thee one stone upon the other, because thou knowest not the time of my visitation. Thus he forecast the city's doom. What words for a king to say to his own city, but this, and then it says a Herbert Rudin, and it has, of course, the little picture of Jesus crying, and it says it's a Herbert Rudin, and you can tell it is because it's a different kind of um, illustrations in the face, and it's the book, not the camera, that looks like it's so offset and it looks cartoony and stuff, but it's the way they printed it. Okay, but this was no ordinary king, full of pride and vainglory. Okay, full of pride and vainglory. This was the king of lovers, who was about to be rejected by the very people he loved so much. From where he stood, he no doubt could see all the royal pomp and glitter of Herod's palace, as well as the uh, Patrium, Praetorium, Patrium, where Pilate would release him to the mob. The very buildings where the chief priests would scoff at him, and where Roman soldiers would mock him and spit upon him. And the only a little way off, outside the city wall, was Calvary, or Golgotha, where they would crucify him. Golgotha, after Goliath, because most people thought that Goliath was buried there. I mean, that's things I've heard. Okay. Okay, let's get back to the story. It was all so clear, so near now, so very near. Yet Jesus did not cry for himself, but because of the poor people of the city who would suffer in years to come because they had not recognized their Messiah when he had when he had when he came to them. Okay, sorry. From there, Jesus sat upon the donkey's back. Not only could he see the temple and the royal palace and all the hundreds and hundreds of little homes about them, but looking into the future, he could see all the coming of the Roman armies to sack the city. He could see the soldiers storming the walls, setting fire to the buildings, putting thousands to death, and taking the rest into captivity. Captivity. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou hast killed the prophets, and stoned them which are sent unto thee. He cried, how often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathers her chickens under her wings, and ye would not. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. How much Jesus would have done for Jerusalem if only her people and her rulers had yielded themselves to his love and giving their hearts to him. It would it would have become the greatest and most beautiful city in the world. It would have become known not only as the city of peace, but the city of light and the city of love, which it kind of is now. Okay, and let's get back to the story. Peace, light, and love would have flowed from it, and like streams of living water to the ends of the earth. It was a lovely dream, but it couldn't come true. The time had arrived, but the people weren't ready. How terribly disappointing. How very, very sad. No wonder the king of lovers cried. And then it has a painting of him looking, it's got their representation of Jesus in the corner, and then the soldiers sacking Jerusalem in the illustration. See? The Romans sacking Jerusalem, which happened, I don't remember my history, about uh, uh, so many years, I can't remember, but it happened. Okay, and that was the end of part one, story 7. Okay, so we're going to stop and get back to the story. And I'm going to take my break. And I'll be right back. Hold on.